Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Gruff, and I'm joined by Lachlan.
On episode 223, that's right, three movies this week. We're doing a triple feature. Jesus Christ, it's going to be a bit of an episode, but the funny thing is, I didn't like two of these movies, and I'm sure Ewan loved all three of them because there were no kids in any of them. Today we're going to talk about Captain America: Brave New World. We're going to talk about Broken Rage coming out on Prime and The Gorge.
We're going to talk about George. Then I got invited to an event screening of White Lotus Season 3 for its premiere. Caught up with Mike Leigh's Hard Truths, One of Them Days, Hard Eyes, Love Hurts, and even sat through the Amy Schumer-led Kinda Pregnant. Plus, there's a Chinese animation sequel that is currently breaking all of the box office records. We'll talk about that later on, but let's get into the show. We are professional.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat as well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, Lachlan, welcome back. In the preamble of this recording, we had to deal with a bunch of tech issues on Kevin's side for a different recording. Now we're hopping into this. Hopefully we're all good now, fingers crossed. I attended an event this week that I just teased in the intro for White Lotus. I got invited by Sky. Apparently this was one of the first events put on in Switzerland for like a premiere that saw some film journalists be invited. I only knew about like 2 to 3 people there. I got to bring someone with me as well, and we were at that screening in like an event hall type of thing, or like a bit of a bar area. I gotta say it was pretty amazing. I was like looking around and was wondering, if Lachlan were around, if Kevin were around, I'd love to bring you, because they like we're constantly going around having us little platters of food with like in the theme of Thailand, because this new season of White Lotus is set in Thailand, giving us food, giving us free drinks, and you know this boy. Just some free drinks. I will be having some. So I had almost 10 drinks. I had so much, and I still don't have a hangover from it. So something about it, I guess. I don't really drink at all unless I go to events like these. But this was a great time. The episode was great. I'll talk about it a tiny bit more because I got to see episode 2 and 3 through screeners as well, and episode 1 at the event. But I can shout out White Lotus, and thanks so much for Sky for inviting me. Hopefully, I don't know. We get some events that we can get you to soon as well. I think we are doing some Australian film festivals this year where you could go to them as well. So I'm looking forward for those opportunities for you as well. But that's what I've been up to this week. I think that was pretty much the most eventful thing that happened. Anything that you've been golfing. You got it. Like you've been.
Yeah, I want to play golf.
Yes.
Today,
and then a couple of days ago, I think as well, right?
With my, yeah. So instead of hanging out on Valentine, because we're recording this on Valentine's Day, instead of hanging out with my girlfriend, I went and played golf.
You hang out with
my
your
really
boyfriend.
Good friend. So yeah, it's a crazy way of spending Valentine's Day, but yeah, I suck at golf and I got to get better at it. So maybe I'll keep playing a little bit more of it. I'm still pretty fired up about this goddamn camera issue that I'm having right now, Ewan.
Yeah.
I literally am about to rage.
Some President Ross type shit? Are you going to turn red?
Because yeah, man, this is frustrating me to bits when tech doesn't work. You know, I haven't changed anything. I haven't touched anything. Nothing here has been updated or changed. Or I haven't moved my camera, I haven't unplugged my camera. The only thing I may have done to my camera is take the lens off, but that doesn't affect any of the other things. And all of a sudden, this setup that I've got just not working.
Yeah.
It fries my brain that I'm probably going to have to pretty much just like, because it's a software thing, just reset the whole fucking computer and just go from there. That's the only thing at this point that I can think of. That's how far I'm going to go. I bought a retro lens.
That looks like an Oreo.
Thing. Looks like an Oreo, doesn't it? It's a retro lens. It's crazy. It goes on my camera and makes it look like disposable film style.
Oh, that's cool.
Shots, because it's literally like a disposable lens. I'm trying to show you on this camera what it is, but you can't see it, Ewan, because you're on
I'm on a different one.
Camera over here, and it's like really annoying. The funny thing,
this is, I don't want to cut you off too early, but this is a perfect tie over for Captain America: Brave New World, which feels like, in a lot of ways, is like shot on one camera, then also on a webcam that is just like green screen, because I can see the green screen for once in the back of you. That's how the whole movie feels, which we'll get into.
Fuck it, you should just leave the green screen in. I'm not going to send you the video of me, of my background that I usually have playing.
Yeah.
Let's just leave the green screen in, because that's how much effort they put into the cap. You know what? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna send you the video, but you have to really half-ass it. Just don't.
But
don't
just for the Captain America one. Just for the Captain America one.
You know what? I'm gonna make the lighting worse.
Oh God. Yeah. No. But let's talk about Captain America: Brave New World. It's the first of our triple feature here. It's the fourth Captain America movie. It's the 20 or 30 something movie in the MCU. I think it kicks off a new phase, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that is first steps with the Fantastic Four film. I don't know. I don't care. But it's a new Captain America that steps into the limelight after we basically had Falcon emerge as the new Captain America out of the Falcon and Winter Soldiers series a couple of years back. This movie also ties back to, I believe, the Incredible Hulk. Again, there's two movies there, that one from Ang Lee that's not the one that's canon, and then a newer one where we get to see General Ross already. But canonically in this universe, also, it's been such a long time, but the way that they reference back to it, it feels like it happened like 6 months ago to like 3 years. It's a bit odd. The whole writing in this movie is a bit all over the place, but Lachlan, could you tell us what the synopsis for the film is and what it's all about?
After meeting the newly elected US President Thaddeus Ross, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. Let's
go. That must have been written by some sort of early stage AI, because it doesn't read well. The whole movie has been plagued by reshoots, and it's one of those films where you can definitely tell that was the case. The early reception has been pretty bad. It's a 2.7 on Letterboxd, a 5.7 on IMDb, a 42 on 43 reviews over on Metacritic. And has had a budget of $180 million. We are recording this again on Valentine's Day, so only the first day recordings have been out. First day grosses have been out, and I think it made like 20 million in. So I think it's gonna do a healthy amount, at least in the first weekend. I think it's not gonna deter people away if the ratings are low, but it's definitely not gonna be a popular one, and it's a pretty terrible start to a free movie semester, a like 6 months period for the MCU, because we had this, then we got First Steps, and then we have Thunderbolts. I don't know the order again. I think maybe Thunderbolts even releases before Fantastic Four First Steps.
Yeah, Thunderbolts is next, I'm pretty sure.
They showed a trailer. I went to a public screening for this. It's crazy. I know I never do it, but it's just in the line.
Peasants. You're like, oh, you peasants seeing it in a public
I didn't pay. I have like a pass that I can see every movie for free. Of course, when I'm down with the common folk. But
with the sickness.
There's someone who's like deadly sick at the moment at our house. My little brother is like, he's in the thick of it right now. I couldn't have dragged him to this, and not that he cares about this film much, but I think there was also usually when I go to press screenings, there's a muted response to it anyways. Even in this screening, which was on evening of release, the like only English screening that wasn't dubbed in German in the area, and people were not reacting to this movie at all. So I feel like our first question is like, is Marvel back on track? I think it's a clear no, right?
No.
But what do we think about the story and premise of this? Like, you know what, also, you haven't seen the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? You skipped out on that series.
No, I watched it.
So it was early enough where it wasn't one of those where like, the Marvel series, I'm not watching it. I think it was one of like WandaVision.
I haven't seen whatever the Coven of Witches, Agatha. I haven't seen that.
There's a couple
I've
that
seen
you've
Falcon
missed.
and Winter Soldier. I've seen, yeah, but I'm not in that. Honestly, I've seen enough that I got pretty much all of the references, and it's not like seeing a giant celestial coming out of the ocean. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Because I saw Eternals. Eternals? Was it Eternals? Yeah,
it's Eternals. Yeah.
I've seen enough of the MCU and its expanded storylines within the TV show realm to know what is going on and know who someone like Isaiah Bradley is, who Bucky is, the relationship that they had with Falcon and Winter Soldier storyline. Like, I know these characters, and when I want to say, is Marvel back on track? No. The reason I'm saying no is not because I don't think they're not reaching the same heights as something like, and it's unfortunate because I actually think like Winter Soldier is one of the best Captain America movies, and it is a staple for the action, for the narrative. I think that it's not back on track in that sense. However, I don't think this film ultimately is as terrible as everyone thinks. I just don't. Okay. I don't think the film. Yes, the film is not finished. The film has terrible CGI, and the characters themselves, I'll be honest, are fucking boring. But I don't think there's generally anything wrong with this film other than having bad pacing, a bad story, characters that are kind of just a villain that's kind of showing off Red Hulk and he's only in it for 10 minutes. There's Giancarlo Esposito is in it for like 10 minutes, and you know he's possibly one of the best like pop-up characters, and I was enjoying every time that he was on screen a lot more than what ended up being Samuel Stern, played by Tim Blake Nelson. He's ultimately the villain, and I didn't enjoy him. I didn't think his character was that engaging. But one thing I noticed is that they didn't kill off the villain in this. The villain's not dead. Yeah. In comparison to past Marvel movies where they just kill off villains.
Yeah. Well, we can drop maybe a slight thing of like how much you can expect from a film, which I feel like for those who do care about spoilers and haven't seen it yet, I mean, Red Hawk is in it for like 10 minutes. I assumed, because it's Harrison Ford, that they don't get him on camera for that long, so it has to be Red Hawk pretty fast so you can do motion capping. And I couldn't have been more wrong.
I'll be honest, Harrison Ford's my favorite part of this movie. His character is the most compelling. His character is the most
but
layered.
The bar is so low. I think even his stuff with, again, spoiler warnings, I think, for our review, I think overall, if you do care, at least there's a bit of a through line with his daughter, with Betty. But it's so, to me, that part of it is so cringy and bad too. Yeah, Sam is really boring.
Isaiah, that's already a story he's done.
And it's also, it wants to have that meta level of like changing a Captain America in universe, but also the sort of reactions that is had in real life of the way of like especially with, not a political podcast, the recent like Trump presidency. And the sort of like representation going back on that, getting rid of like certain holidays, acknowledgements of like Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month, everything that has to do with LGBTQ+. This movie, even though it was made way before and then reshot about 20 times until like before it came out, it still feels like it's a bit commenting on that sort of reception that he will have just as a state that the states were in before. And I think it just doesn't amount to an interesting character with Sam Wilson. When I think they like, to me, the thing that maybe, again, I think this movie doesn't work at all, but Joaquin Torres, like the new Falcon, and Sam Wilson, that dynamic is the one that should work the most. I think him and Bucky worked a bit better, but to me, they were also kind of cringy, that back and forth. To me, Sam Wilson as a character has just never really been that interesting or worked that much. So when he steps up, it's like I don't know, you got to give me an interesting conflict, because I think Captain America previously wasn't an interesting character either. He was just conflicted with he doesn't want to he's someone who works for the government and then realizes the government doesn't have the best intentions in mind for its people and it's corrupt, so he acts accordingly. And you could do the same here.
And we're just doing the same thing here again.
And it's just a more boring version of it that wants to be a bit more lukewarm. It wants to get to a point where basically, hey, escalation is not always the resolution for everything, right? Stay calm in the way, like that's supposed to be the theme of this whole thing. But it doesn't really get there. Thematically, it's not interesting. And it wants to be a Marvel movie that has a bit of something to say with its characters, but its characters are so boring. So like you get to sit in the theater and just, I was so close to like a couple of times, like, do I just say I didn't finish this movie? I walked out of the theater and just call it and say like, hey, no rating. It's just a very bad movie. Because I was at that point. I thought this movie was terribly, terribly boring. Really, really huge disappointment. Because I wasn't going into it trying to hate it. I was trying to root for it, that like, hey, we got Harrison Ford in here. Red Hulk could be fun. And no, I was just bored out of my mind.
I think the boring factor also comes down to the action as well. Because I think the choreography is just super, super, super duper slow, sluggish, I guess. Sluggish is probably the best word I'd use. It doesn't have oomph to it. It doesn't have style. It doesn't have anything going for it. The best action sequence is the Red Hulk sequence. Yeah. And that's a completely digital sequence. And it's like, usually in Captain America movies, you have some good hand-to-hand combat.
Because he can take the punches, you know?
Combat was when Hulk clapped and like a big old shockwave happened. And I was like, that was fucking dope. And it just has these interesting key moments. I mean, the director did also do the Cloverfield paradox. So like... Yeah.
Smaller films, more drama-centered film. Also, Loose, another one that is like way, way smaller.
This film overall, I feel like it never had a point. It never had a... It felt like it was wrapping up a lot of storylines within the MCU or bringing in storylines to kind of like give them a reason to exist. Like the whole point of this movie is to introduce adamantium. Adamantium now exists in the MCU. Dude, Very good.
I thought it had something to do with the novel Brave New World, which I was trying to look for in my apartment and I just couldn't find it because it's a pretty good book. It's one of the classics, and I thought it was referencing a bit more to that than it was when they name dropped it and they said like this Brave New World of adamantium being in it. I was like, oh, okay, so you are just calling this a Brave New World because there's a new material that is stronger than vibranium. That is just like basically nerd pushing back their glasses. Well, technically that's like a stronger material that's out in the world. Bro, that doesn't make the world more interesting or more compelling if you say, oh no, there's actually something stronger out there. So if you put Superman against Goku, who would win? Like, it's that type of shit. And it's like that is just boring. It's not like, it may be exciting when you're like now getting into the MCU of like, oh, they're introducing something new and everything, but it doesn't work if you've stayed with this universe for so long and the way that they want to build to something exciting again. You're not going to get back these, including us, like these 20-somethings into their 30s, maybe sometimes like the people that grew up and loved the MCU as it came up. You're not going to get them back with this one. And I don't know how many new fans they're making like in the meantime as well.
I think they need to make the heroes fun again. The heroes seem to be all quite... I don't think Sam's the worst MCU character, but he's serious all the fucking time. And when he does loosen up a little bit, it's like, all right, cool, we finally... Like, when they're in the limousine having a little bit of fun, I was like, all right, cool, here we go. Because one of the biggest things with the Marvel characters was just, like, they are also human fucking beings, for the most part, most of them, on the inside. They have desires, they have dreams, you know, like...
And this wants to ground it a bit more, you know? Definitely has that inspiration.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they don't have that superness to them. They're like... And like, one of the interesting things I think about this film is all of the moments that Sam is considering... Oh, fuck, I really wish I took that serum.
Should have taken the serum. Fuck Bucky. And I was like, Bucky was wrong. I should have taken the serum.
Yeah. And I like that inner conflict of he's not... I mean, Thunderbolts is going to have the same thing. And I think it was all over the trailer where they're like, not super. And I was like, well, I know they're not super, but they still have abilities, strength, whatever. Sam doesn't have that. He is just good at combat, good moral ethics, doesn't have the super serum. He doesn't have... I mean, actually, I was going to say he doesn't have
super vibranium
suits, like, he literally has that, like, vibranium... Like,
I mean, that's
wings.
The reason they can beat the Hulk.
He's basically just Iron Man or War Machine.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, how can he even hurt the Hulk? It makes no sense.
Well, you know what was annoying me in the fight? The point is that the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. What? Yeah. We know that, right? With Hulk, the angrier the Hulk is, the stronger he gets. And if you see something that looks like a Hulk, well, let me guess. I'm assuming the angrier he is, the stronger he gets. and they just kept stabbing him, shooting at him, poke him in the eye, slicing him up. You're pissing me off more, or pissing him off more, pissing me off more, because I'm like, just do the thing that you did with Bruce. Yeah. Surely the Avengers would have told somebody that you've just got to get, you know, Scarlett Johansson or somebody
Natasha,
to do the touch of the hand or whatever, right? Like, whatever. But you know what? I'm not here to argue about the movie's plot holes. I am here to talk about the absolute dog trash CGI that is
I love
apparent.
The ending was crazy. The way that they cut in the same shot back and forth, and it was clearly just like an angled off green screen, and it changed from moment to moment. Like, they cut apart that ending so much. It was crazy. And there was also a ton of ADR being done, where there's a non-motivated, off-timed cutaway, so you don't, like, as soon as a new part of a sentence starts, that's usually additional ADR, additional recording, is what that stands for. You can also tell, usually, if you listen to it closely, you can't get 100% of, like, how it sounded right when you record it later on. You can tell if you're looking for it. Obviously, you don't try to go, as a casual audience member, you're not trying to go into it and looking for that, but it's obvious. It's so noticeable in this movie, and the thing that they replace it with is not even worth it. Like, the dialogue changes are pretty dumb
quite often during the switching between characters' dialogue. Sometimes the dialogue would switch to the facing character, right? So you've got your two over the shoulder shots, and I would notice that they're halfway through a line of dialogue, they cut to the other character listening, but they're cutting away, and the lips of the other actor are just not matching up what is being said. And I noticed that, and obviously they cut away because you're more likely to look at the character with the eyes. But as someone who analyzes this stuff, you kind of look all around the place. And sometimes when they're doing it quite often or cutting away, and the person that's talking is talking for a long time, you kind of draw your eyes back to the person who's talking, and then you notice you're saying words and the voice and the lips, they're not matching up, and that kind of stands out. So again, I don't think this movie is terrible. I know that you said you find that boring. I do think it's terrible. And I know that it is boring. I will agree with you with that. I just don't think it's as bad as other Marvel movies. I just don't think there's...
What would be worse than this one?
What's worse than this one?
I think it's about as good as Madam Web. I'm not gonna lie. I think this and Madam Web is probably about this, like, the same kind of cut up ADR shit as well. It's probably about the same quality.
I don't think it is. Okay, so let me think. I think Doctor Strange
and the Multiverse of Madness
was worse.
Sure.
I think Love and Thunder was worse. And whilst those movies had probably better storylines and better characters, I just felt that they were all over the place. Where this still had a coherent, grounded, I know what I want to do. Multiverse of Madness was just wild, and then Love and Thunder was just ridiculous.
I think the Ant-Man 3, the Quantum Mania one, to me is about on the same level.
Never saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't seen it.
No, you're missing out. Joaquin Torres wants to meet Ant-Man.
Oh, the Marvels.
The Marvels. Sure. I mean, that was just... did you watch that one? Did we cover that one? I forget. I think we talked about it. Yeah, no, we talked about it. We definitely covered it as well. It's just very forgettable. I think for me, Multiverse of Madness and for Love and Thunder are a tiny bit like above this. I would prefer them over Brave New World. Just because they've made... I don't hate Eternals. I think Eternals is a bit overhated. It's just I don't think the story there is horrible, and it's fine. To me, it's like fine. Okay. This just really feels like it's an introduction to Adamantium and nothing else.
One of the big things I want to point out is that this is the second last movie in Phase 5 before you move on to Phase 6, which next up for Phase 6 is Fantastic Four and Avengers Doomsday. We literally have one more Marvel movie, and that's Fantastic Four after Thunderbolts, and then we're straight back into Avengers Doomsday.
I mean, they're reforming, again, big spoilers, we've already talked about spoilers, they're basically reforming the Avengers. Like, Ross wants to do it, but I think they're now Cap and I guess Falcon are the first ones to probably trying to assemble a team. I think you can expect that. And then I don't know, I still don't know what they are gonna do with Spider-Man, because like in that last movie they kind of reset him right? So I don't know what's been happening there.
At least according to Wikipedia, there is a untitled Spider-Man No Way Home sequel scheduled for Phase 6 between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Look, man, we could make a list of all of the Marvel characters that have completely been forgotten about when it comes to storylines. I mean, here's a fantastic example. Harry Styles and Thanos' half-brother being introduced at the end of Eternals. Where's that gonna go, huh? Where do you think that? Come on. Where's that gonna go? Ewan, you're the Marvel guy.
It can only go in one direction. I don't know.
But I don't think Marvel is back. I don't think Marvel is going to be back. At least we'll see how
the Fantastic Four
go.
is also a period piece. Like, right? It's a period piece. Feels pretentious to say when it's Marvel.
The fuck do you mean it's a period piece?
It's not. It's not set in. Fantastic Four is set in the 60s.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like.
Yes, but it's a future. It's a retro futuristic 60s.
Is it? I thought it was in. Oh, is it different? Oh, wait. So the thing that
it's a different universe.
So the thing that they teased here, again, big spoilers. End of. I didn't stay for the end credit scene. I literally went onto X because I know everyone's just Twitter. Everyone's just filming off the screen. So I knew someone had already must have posted the post credit scene. So I watched it on there because I wasn't staying another 10 minutes to watch the post credit scene. And it's basically another one in the raft after they ended with Ross and like him meeting his daughter again. And then they go back to whatever fucked up face guy. I don't know what his name is. Samuel Stearns. He basically says like, oh, I've seen all the combinations in the future or like whatever, and something is gonna happen, it's gonna fuck shit up, and you're not even ready for everything that's coming from the other worlds. And I was like, haven't we not been doing that for the last like 7 Marvel movies already? Like, what about and I guess they're doing what's the next one called? Doomsday, and that's Doctor Doom. I guess they are. Yeah, then I guess Fantastic Four leads into the Avengers film. Yeah.
So we've got 2 more Marvel movies this year, and that's Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, and then
Thunderbolts is growing on me, definitely.
A whole year until. Honestly, I'm hoping Thunderbolts is the Suicide Squad of the Marvel Cinematic.
Not the like movies, but like. The type of movie that could be, the James Gunn, the Suicide Squad. Not the David Ayer.
The Suicide, not Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up to that comedy though. I think it's not going to be like as comedic.
Oh no, not in the sense like okay. So I want it to be. I want the Thunderbolts to be the Suicide Squad of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I want them to be like the ones that people are like, it's the ragtag group of people. Who the fuck?
What did you think about? Obviously, we have Bucky having a big scene, a small scene, a bit of a dialogue before like the final battle, which I thought also a lot of the dialogue scenes were just. I was like, okay, I got it, and then all of the scenes are like 3 minutes of talking, and it's so boring. Him at the end there being like. Campaigning to run for like office for I think the Senate, or at least I don't know, for something, and then seeing that in Thunderbolts he will be back more in action, so I feel like I guess that's going to fall through a bit, but then it's weird to already know where a character will end up in the future. Like, to me that is always a bit odd to see a trailer for an upcoming movie that features the story of something that hasn't even been in theaters yet. I don't know. It took me a bit out of it, but that's just the density of like Marvel movies that are released over the next couple of months. And like you said, right then there's a year of a break before we get that next Avengers movie. That's in summer of next year.
I don't know what summer months are in the States.
Oh, well, it's
that's autumn for me.
No, it's winter for you.
Or fall.
Let's have a quick look.
We get the return of Anthony and Joe Russo. You reckon that's going to go down well?
No, we'll all love them and we'll embrace them, and it will be so great. Let me have a quick look. By the way, I just realized I watched the first couple episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is like animated, more comic book aesthetic Spider-Man show, and it reminded me, if you have a great character at the core, these stories make for a pretty sick, like, and it's a pretty sick entertainment. I really, really like the first couple episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and I brought it up to Kevin, and he said, "Oh, isn't that like a super like kids aimed TV show?" And I was like, "No, it's actually a really fun, like different type of spin on Peter Parker." I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So that's currently airing, and I will continue to watch it. So far, it's like Marvel Rivals is the best thing so far. Then we got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and at the very bottom, Captain America: Brave New World. Then Daredevil: Born Again comes out on March 4th. That's coming up next. Then we got Thunderbolts on May 2nd. Ironheart is currently set to release on June 24th. For some reason, Sony Pictures still has a reserved date for an upcoming movie on June 27th, but I think they scrapped that universe. On July 25th, we get Fantastic Four: First Steps. Eyes of Wakanda TV show that's airing in August, on August 6th. Then Marvel Zombies, another TV show. Wonder Man, I think another TV show in December. And then Beyond the Spider-Verse sometime in 2025. A bunch of TV shows. And then Avengers Doomsday, May 1st, 2026. And then the next Spider-Man movie in July 2024, 2026. And apparently next year we also get a Shang-Chi movie. I don't know if that's happening. Okay, now in this list, they still have Blade, TBD on 20. Okay, I don't know how much I can trust this list. So, yeah, we get a bunch of movies up until July, and then the next movie in May. So it will be a longer break with a bunch of TV shows in between. I don't have much else to say about this. It was disappointing all around. I think on every level, the pacing, the look, the feel, the VFX, the writing, the editing, even the score into needle drops annoyed me. I think pretty much everything about this was pretty horrible. So I'm giving it a pretty low rating of a 3 out of 10. It barely qualifies as a movie, and hopefully they can do better with the upcoming slate.
I'm giving it a 2 out of 5.
Oh, so it's like a 4 out of 10. For me, it's like a 1.5 out of 5, I guess. If you couldn't do the math in your head, I just did it to you because not everyone is as brilliant as Samuel Stones.
I have not been doing the companion
loops. Oh, good. No worries.
Too many Marvel movies at this stage in the list, so I gave up.
Oh, yeah, no, I mentioned a whole bunch of them. No, I can do it. I can do it this week.
You decided to go and start listing off all of these untitled spin-off TV fucking Marvel shit. I'm listening. I'm just like, that's not gonna happen.
Look at me do it. But if you were to pair it up, this Brave New World with another film, what do you go with?
I think if you wanted to watch something after this, you should watch Paint Dry.
For the excitement, or
yeah, for the excitement of paint drying, or if you just want to watch Harrison Ford kick ass again, Air Force One.
Oh, okay. That is a great pick. I wish I had picked The Fugitive, but I didn't. I kind of want to switch to The Fugitive now.
Yeah, I like your one.
Well, I picked one that is a bit more because this movie also wants to tackle some at least lightly touch in the way that Disney can, now that they've completely folded in backwards to, like, you know, Trump's policies, and I guess now it's a fucking safe haven to go to Disney World with a MAGA hat, I guess, because it's not woke anymore. Not a political podcast, but When They See Us is very political. It's a 4-part miniseries by Ava DuVernay, who's done some incredible documentaries as well. I'm gonna add a couple more movies onto that companion list for you, Lachlan. For example, 13th, Selma, even Origin, all great films. But you can stream When They See Us over on Netflix. It's about 5 teens who were wrongly accused of a murder and then imprisoned, and it basically like a bunch of really young boys being tried as almost like adults. One of them actually being tried like an adult, and it is based on an actual true story. It's heartbreaking. I think this movie, the series, is one of the things that has moved me to the core the most when I remember watching it. It's only been out for around 5-6 years now, but like I stood up, I screamed at my TV. I was so mad because there's a certain bit of injustice in it that feels like it is unbelievable that it's just like to let it happen. Incredibly moving, not pandering or cheesy, just heartfelt, very well made. This is one of my rare 10 out of 10 ratings that I have for this series. So if you want to, honestly, just skip Brave New World and just go see When They See Us. It's a longer watch anyways. That's our double feature picks. So let's move on to our next feature, which is a shorter one. It's only 62 minutes long, or like a couple minutes over 60 minutes. It barely qualifies as a feature-length movie, which it also jokes about in the film itself. It's streaming over on Amazon Prime, and we are of course talking about Broken Rage from Takeshi Kitano, that earlier last year premiered at the Venice Film Festival, where I got to experience it alongside Kevin next to me in a very enthusiastic full theater crowd. And I think that's where this movie works best. Can't say that it was the same rewatching it now on just streaming it on Prime by myself. It just kind of loses a bit of its spark. I loved it. Lachlan, you didn't love it as much, but can you, at first, before we get into our thoughts, give us the premise of Broken Rage?
A hitman named Nuzami fights for his survival when he's caught between the police and the Yakuza.
Coming in at a runtime of a bit more than 60 minutes, has been received so far by not a huge audience, because I think it's not had a huge push that it's even out. And I think Takeshi Kitano is not really the biggest name in filmmaking, at least to Western audiences, but it's at a 3.6 over on Letterboxd, 7.6 over on IMDb, and a 70 on 40 reviews over on Metacritic. I love this film. I think giving the premise away also kind of helps like the movie, because we knew going into it the first half of the film is going to be a more crime-centered story, playing it pretty straight about this hitman like on a mission helping the police investigate the Yakuza. That's basically the premise. And in the second half, it's going to be the same story retold as a comedy. Going into it, at least for me, it's the sort of thing when you know that there's something, like you're going to see something again, similar to when you see it in a like sort of Groundhog Day, repeating same kind of day type movie, time loop movie, that you are looking for stuff that you're like, oh, okay, I can expect where the joke is going. And I think that this film subverts that a lot. I do have to say that it didn't work as well, as perfectly as it did in Venice with that audience, because they were clapping and hooling and hollering even before the movie started, even at the credits, and we were so ready to laugh. Lachlan, your experience now watching it by yourself, was that something that it was lacking? Because like we basically laughed at every single joke, and I assumed that it wasn't like as funny to you by yourself.
It's not that I didn't laugh and I didn't find it funny. I just find it funny for the most part. I guess you do have a point. I can definitely see that this film would work a heck of a lot better. There were tons of people around with me also enjoying it at the same time. I can definitely see that kind of being the case. Also, being 62 minutes, you're easily in and you're out. It doesn't really stick around too long. And I don't think the premise of this film could last any longer than just over an hour before it starts to get really old. In fact, kind of comes in at 20 minutes. That's when the second act kind of begins, and you kind of just like, oh, okay,
27,
yep.
Yeah.
So after 40 minutes, you kind of just sit there and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of, this part's over, because it's absurdist, it's stupid, it's funny at times, it's ridiculous, it's weird, it's missing certain jokes that just don't land. It's a funny thing to talk about, this particular film, because I was hearing how it was like absolutely hilarious, and I kind of knew I wasn't going to find it as funny watching it by myself, but you know what? I still thought I would find it funny. And there were only a few jokes kind of towards the end that was said by the police or done by the police that I actually genuinely laughed at.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it.
I mean, it's also the type of approach that it has is very deadpan with how over the top it is. It's not like it has like a score going for it. It's very simple slapstick stuff that is just, I think to us it was so funny because a lot of it was so surprising. Like there's a I think I can very much recommend it again because it has a shorter runtime. You know, it's easy to recommend. I do want to talk about a couple of moments, so a bit of a spoiler warning. It doesn't ruin the film if I talk about it a bit more, but just be warned if you want to go in without knowing anything. I can recommend it very much. Again, if you got Prime, go see it. But I think that one of the bits that is like the mission thing of like carrying the suitcase up and then a little man with a high-pitched voice being in it, something about that it's so unexpected, at least to me, that it was so funny. And a lot of those moments that are just, you're just like, no, that is so stupid, oh my god, it's so stupid, and you're doubling down and then you're doubling down, and that double down on the double down on the double down, if you're not in for it, you're gonna hate it. You're not gonna laugh, and then it's like, okay, let's move on to the next joke, and you're not as ready for it. I think I sometimes underestimate how much comedies, even mid-comedies, thrive with having an audience with you that is ready for it. Like, I don't know, for Hundreds of Beavers, for example, I didn't need that. I found it hilarious by myself, and it didn't add that much more. I think it held in its own premise because it wasn't as random. I think this movie gets pretty random at points that like it can be annoying if you're not clicking with the humor, and I didn't click as much with the humor this time around as well. So it will just be a vibes thing. If you vibe with it, then it might be for you. If not, Takeshi Kitano has a lot of other great films that are completely different. Comedies, thrillers, dramas, action, he's done it all. So that's why like it's so impressive to me that he's also directing and he's the lead in it as well.
But he does that quite a bit.
He does do that quite a bit, yeah. He's like, yeah, he gives off that vibes like, well, I can do it better. I can do it. I can do it. Yeah. He can do it.
Why should I try to word this correctly to my actor when I can just do it myself?
And I do feel like the way that he performs it, the first half of being this hitman, that part of it to me already works quite well. The way that like it flows, the pacing is, but he plays the bumbly version of this character also like very believably. That is like a clean transition. It's not just in both of them. He's an old guy who's like, oh, he's a bit, I don't know, not completely in it. There was just a lot to enjoy in the film, even though maybe the only thing that you would want more is maybe a bit more action, because I think it is basically just a bit that is repeated over and over again, right? Or a couple of bits, and that's the whole film. Like to us, I don't know if you can guess what the funniest bit to Kevin and I was in the second half, but
the funniest bit in the second half,
yeah, like, and in the comedy bit, like what we found the funniest.
Can I have a little bit more of a?
Can you phone a friend?
Can I get a hint?
Just calls Kevin. I mean, I can give you. It's hard to give a hint without making it obvious. It's a joke that is repeated twice in the film, and it's very in your face with how it's presented.
It's not the mask thing, is it?
No, not the mask. I think the mask thing and the cop stuff is sometimes when it's just like cut back and forth and something different is on screen. That to me is giving a bit of like social media level humor, not really for a movie. No, the funniest
was it
bit,
the fucking was it the chair breaking?
No, to us it was the text. The text fake of like this movie isn't long enough. We found that so funny.
I totally thought that wasn't going to be it.
No, that was because we were so not expecting that, and it's just like, oh my god, that's so stupid. That is so, because it is literally filler for this movie. It's not just like it's a fun, to me, like it's a fun way to break the fourth wall in this already like very over the top movie. Yeah, I don't think we have much else to say about it, right? You just didn't click with the humor as much. So
do you want to guess what my favorite funniest part was?
I think you maybe would enjoy that. It's just randomly that he killed like someone who looked just like him in the no. What other bits? Well, you said you liked the cops a lot. So was it something with the cops?
Yeah, their interrogation scene in the second was fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
like
no.
Don't do that. That's dangerous. Stop. And he does like the sword soloing. He does like the knife game.
Yeah.
He lays on a bed of needles. That shit I kind of actually really laughed at. And then there was in the second half, out of nowhere, like the musical chairs. Like I just That shit came out of nowhere. And at that point, I was like, the movie was basically over, and I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? And
yeah.
Why do I like this?
And I think that's the type of intention for it. Like, you assume it to be like, oh, he's actually just an idiot who does something wrong, and he still kind of stumbled his way through. But that's not what the comedy is. It is just going to like surprise you with something that doesn't make any sense. And like, if you're up for that vibe, I think it is fucking hilarious. Like, it's really funny, and it's so well made and paced that way. Again, if you're not completely vibing with it, then that's not going to be the best thing you've seen. I thought, to me, it was the best film that I've seen coming out of Venice last year. I went down on my rating a bit. I gave it a 9 out of 10, 4.5 out of 5 coming out of Venice. I moved that to like an 8.5 out of 10. Still very much recommended, really solid. It's on Prime. Get some people together and watch it with a group of people. Hopefully, you remember when Kevin said he put on hundreds of beavers and his friends just wanted to play Mario Kart, so he watched it by himself. Yeah, and I don't know if you can get them back later in the film when it's just like random. You'll seem like an insane person watching this movie, but it's still pretty fun. Hopefully, some people will check it out. But what's your rating for it?
I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I still think it's entertaining. Even though I didn't laugh for the majority of it, but when I did laugh, I kind of thought, oh, this is like Hundreds of Beavers level of comedy for me, in a way. But maybe I just gotta, to be fair, I did watch it after playing golf this afternoon, so I'm pretty worn down on low energy, so maybe I should rewatch it again when I have more energy, because it's only an hour, I can squeeze it in. That's a whole episode of Game of Thrones, essentially.
Yeah, it's less than the runtime of this podcast, so... Hey, double feature with our podcast.
9 minutes.
Yeah, but if you were to pair it up with another film, maybe something along the lines of a comedy that also has a bit of crime in it, what would you pair up with it?
The Nice Guys, Shane Black. It's like the only Shane Black movie I like.
There's not a lot of other ones to like, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's made any other movies than The Nice Guys.
Well, no, he's made... You know what other movie he's made.
What other movie?
You know.
Oh, yeah, he did Iron Man 3. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I did Iron Man 3.
No. No, he's done another movie that you hate. Absolutely hate. The Predator from 2018. That's Shane Black.
The what?
The Predator.
I don't think I've seen this movie.
No, you've seen it.
The Predator.
No, you've talked about it before.
The Predator?
The Predator, yeah, the one that you hate.
Yeah, 2018, Boyd Holbrook, Olivia... No, man, I don't think I've seen this movie.
That is... Wait. Am I being gaslit? I thought we talked about this, like how much you hate this movie.
I don't think I've seen this movie.
That is okay. That is reshape. No, you've seen it. You've given it a 3 star. You. This guy's fucking with me.
I don't think I've seen this.
It's this fucking guy. I'm.
Wait, how many stars did I give it?
You gave it 3 out of 10.
Oh fuck! I'm lowering that right now. Sorry, Jesus Christ, that's 2018. Lachlan fucking logging that shit. Give me a second, everybody. The Predator.
I think when we talked about it, because we did talk about it, and you've seen it, you fucking gaslighting bitch. You said that it's like a half.
I gave it a 1.5.
Yeah, you gave it a 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah, you said I gave it 3.
I said a 3 out of 10. So.
Oh right yeah, okay, cool, sweet. No, I thought you said I gave it a 3 out of 5.
No,
Jesus Christ! No, I gave it a 1.5.
But
Jesus,
we confirmed.
I was about to lower it down to like a 1.5.
This guy. But I'm pairing it up with another Takeshi Kitano film called Violent Cop that I can very much recommend. But then Kevin came in last minute because he's also seen Broken Rage. Obviously, we've reviewed it before. And he said to pair it up with Baby Assassins, which I think is even a better pick. That's a trilogy of movies that had 2 films come out in the States last year. Very much worth checking out. Comedy and a bit more action than like crime in this one, but also crime action. Great stuff. Go check out Baby Assassins. But that's it for this double feature. Let's get to the third film in our saga, which is by us commonly referred to as The Gorge by Scott Derrickson.
2 highly trained operatives grow close from a distance after being sent to guard opposite sides of a mysterious gorge. When an evil below emerges, they must work together to survive what lies within.
Truly moving, sexy, action, horror, thriller. That's all the tags that this one... I guess it doesn't have a sexy tag. It has a romance tag on Letterboxd. But it is somewhat sexy, at least for a bit. So far, it only has a Metacritic score because it's only been out literally today, but we got screeners from Apple, so we already were able to see it. This is a Valentine's Day release for Apple TV Plus. It's a 58 based on 19 reviews over a Metacritic, and I think it was made for a bit more than $100 million. And I was like, at first, knowing that going into it, that it was made for a bunch of money, I was like, okay, so when does this movie get expensive? I know Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller, they're not cheap, but they don't cost that much. And I was like, oh, we go down into the gorge. That's when the gorgeous stuff, that's going to cost you some money. We were making fun of this title for a bunch because it's the gorge. It sounds kind of funny.
The first trailer looked trash.
It looked pretty trashy. And
the first trailer looked trash.
Did you have a better time with it, like with the actual movie? Like, what did you think?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh my god, absolutely. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I had a great time with this. I love the premise. I love where it went. I love fucking Sigourney Weaver. I love Miles Teller. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I love everything about this in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think that there are flaws with it, but I actually think that this film works really, really well. Really, really well. And you know what? I don't care. I think this was my favorite movie I watched this week. And I wish we completely didn't waste our time with Brave New World so I can just watch The Gorge again, because even though it was the longest of the movies, it was the one that I had the most fun with, and it's the one that goes through the most changes.
The thing is, it delivers on its premise. You got two very attractive people about
you do.
I don't know, a couple of 100 meters away from each other. Staring at each other through, not gonna lie, a bit creepy binoculars. It would be weird if one of them just wasn't feeling that same kind of vibe. That sort of romance thing, it delivers on. Then we got some action, which it delivers on. Horror, it has like a tiny bit, but you can feel that Scott Derrickson feels very comfortable in that horror genre, creating tense moments. Got some pretty sick production design. It's got a cinematographer that is quite experienced. He shot like John Wick. Kevin brought that up to me. I don't know which John Wick, but he shot one of them, maybe all of them. I don't know.
He shot John Wick?
He then got shot by John Wick, but he also shot John Wick on a camera, but maybe also on a gun. We don't know if it's like sort of...
Cool.
Anyway. But yeah, it's just fun. To me, I wrote down in our show notes, is it stupid fun? Is it stupid hot? Or is it just stupid? And I think it's stupid fun. I don't like, it has bits of like, oh, I love the tension between these two. But I feel like that comes down to, no, I don't feel like if you switch out these for different actors, I don't think this movie works as well. It's just because, like you said, we love Anya Taylor-Joy. We love Anya Taylor-Joy. I also love Miles Teller a lot, and I think you do as well.
Yeah.
So these are just like a fun pairing to have, and I feel like maybe they're not the ones who have like, I think they do have chemistry with each other. It's not like a crazy amount. It works more often than it doesn't. It's entertaining.
It works when they're writing things to each other and not when they're talking. I think when they talk to each other, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like when you guys talk. You're better off just using the cue cards and write. That's cuter. But like there are just elements to this film that I found just like tiny little things that I just found a lot of, there's cues to Queen's Gambit and Whiplash. There's cues of like cosmic horror. One of my absolute favorite sort of scary things other than like the sort of like cosmic horror stuff is the concept that, if humanity was to be wiped out, we're not wiped out by a big asteroid, or we're not just like immediately annihilated. It's like the slow shit, and that's what this is, and that terrifies me. And as soon as they went down into the gorge, are we doing spoilers? We're doing spoilers. When they down into the gorge and they went into this cosmic horror, and I'm spoiling my double feature here, but this annihilation sort of shimmer, sort of morphing into this sort of creature body horror stuff. I loved it. I fucking just absolutely enjoyed my time with it. I wish we spent more time down there, but obviously they didn't for plot reasons and
also money reasons. It's probably it looked pretty expensive.
It looked pretty expensive, I have to admit, but like that was
pretty sick production design. I was having
so much fun. The characters themselves were, I don't think engaging, but the performances themselves were fine enough. I don't think any of the characters were deep and like they had substance to them. Honestly, I think this week the character that had the most substance was Takeshi
Kitano in Broken Rage.
In Broken Rage, I think he's the only character that's had multiple layers other than. And then it's like Thaddeus Ross. It's like how the fuck is Red Hulk like the second when it comes to deep character layers, and it's not like Anya Taylor-Joy or whatever. But like ever since Furiosa, I'm super keen to see what Anya Taylor-Joy does in that sort of action realm, because she can handle herself. I think she's like a badass. I could totally see her doing like a ballerina style spin-off John Wick kind of situation. I would totally watch that.
I honestly think that she would have been a better choice for. Honestly, the thing is, with controversial here, because I know a lot of
better.
That as well, and I feel like she's being typecast as like Eastern Bloc everything. Wasn't she? She wasn't. Didn't have a like Russian accent or anything in that region in Queen's Gambit, or did she? Can't remember. Maybe, I don't know. See, the thing is, she's done so much of it that I can't even tell them apart. She was initially the one that Robert Eggers wanted to go with Nosferatu. We got Lily Rose Depp. I don't know if she would have worked as well as Lily Rose Depp, because I think she does a decent job. I don't love her in the role, but
do you think Lily Rose Depp would have been better in this?
No, no, fuck no. So it's like, the thing is, I just want Anya Taylor-Joy in everything that she was tapped to do. So what I truly wish for is some kind of time apparatus that she can do more roles, because I think she's pretty incredible. I love her in pretty much everything that she's in. And there's like the action bit where she has to like escape and she has to like evade it, and I think it's like in between the legs, and she's like a smooth movement, and then she whips around. Like, her action bits are done quite well, and I think Miles Teller is someone who looks like he can handle some action too, and he was pretty good in Top Gun Maverick as well. And I know he can handle the heavy dramatic bits. Both of these actors can, and it's not really demanding everything out of them in this. It is pretty much more like the, on the easier side for the characterization of these. But when they tap into, I got all of this hurt of like what people I've heard and how I'm mentalizing it and like how I'm dealing with it. It's not like super well written or there's a lot to it, because it's these two actors. You still kind of feel for them a bit. Like they handle it the most that they can possibly, given with the material here. So I feel like they elevated. That's why I was saying, if these two were recast for someone else, I don't know if it would work as well. You praise Sigourney Weaver. I think she's completely wasted in this film. She's she could be replaced by literally everyone else.
I said I fucking love Sigourney Weaver.
Well, I do love Sigourney Weaver as well.
I love Sigourney Weaver in anything. She's like my favorite. Always has been. Whether it's Ghostbusters, whether it's Alien, whether it's even if it's like Avatar. Like, I love Sigourney Weaver in pretty much anything she's in. A really niche one is like the Neil Blomkamp like YouTube shorts he came out with years ago. She's in one of those, and like, I fucking love Sigourney Weaver, especially when she's a villain, because she does villain. Yeah. She does evil so well. Even with like subtlety. But yeah, she's underutilized in this film, and I guess that's the one thing I wish this film did a bit more of, and that was definitely give us a little bit more around. Like all of a sudden it was just like, okay, you're the, like, we kind of knew they were the bad guy at but like they got really quick to that. And I personally think that as soon as they get out of the gorge, that's where the film does start to suck a lot more. I think the start of the film's pretty great. I think the moment that they go into it is pretty great. I think that the mystery that starts to unravel is interesting.
Wasn't a mystery to you? Because like,
well, when I say the mystery, I mean the reason why it's there. Like, why does this gorge exist? Why are we watching it? I really liked the backdrop of this is a military test site gone wrong. We originally were, like, Oppenheimer did his tests. He did the Trinity test and whatever. And yeah, cool, the A-bomb now exists. This is another thing that we did and obviously went wrong. And I really liked that engaging sort of situation that they got put into with revealing these little subtle things. And I enjoyed it. I think this film isn't that deep. What I do think is that it is a pretty cool original idea, which we don't get a lot of those. And I genuinely thought that it was well thought out. And maybe they could have diverged into a bit of the villainary, because like there is no villain other than the monsters. They definitely had Sigourney Weaver in the background and had her in the pocket that could have made her a bit more of a big bad, because when you see her get exploded, you're like, okay, cool, whatever. She's not evil to me. She's just a person who runs a business, obviously. Like, no one's getting out of the gorge. Nothing has gotten out of the gorge yet. Nothing has escaped. They've got some pretty good lockdown procedures for this. So
for me, it would have been maybe a bit more thrilling if there's a bunch of creatures that come to the, like, I don't know, maybe the decision should have been one that is a bit harder to make for Levi, for Miles Teller's character, of like, he needs to save himself and Draza and Anya Taylor-Joy, but with that he maybe unleashes whatever's in the gorge. That would have been like a bigger decision to make.
Like,
something like that.
There's no sequel. Like, there's no Gorge 2.
Gorge
Electric
us.
Boogaloo.
Gorge
that's
us.
not going to happen.
Gorge us. And it's a gorge just within us.
So I'm not surprised that they, like, it would have been a sad ending, but like Rogue won it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they've been doing. They've
done everything for themselves their entire lives.
Yeah.
Do something for the rest of the world. I mean, Miles Teller's like a ex-Marine, so maybe he's done it for other people, but Anya Taylor-Joy is an assassin. Why not make them both contracted assassins? And
they're both basically assassins. I mean, he's just done it for the military, which is kind of the same.
Yeah, but you know, make them a bit more morally grey, that they do everything for themselves, a bit more selfish, and then they go, no, we can't let this get
I think they want to. I think they were. That's a part of me where, like, maybe you could lean a bit more that they've alienated themselves from themselves, like, essentially that they hate themselves for what they did, but he's never really like that. I think the reason why he stopped doing the military stuff is because he was evaluated and he doesn't want to do it anymore, but he doesn't feel like there's a strong feeling to if he hates it or if he think it was wrong, or it's not commenting on that at all. So it leaves that character pretty blank. And Kevin brought this up to me when we reviewed it as a separate little thing, that it feels a bit more like a young adult novel, that type of story where you can leave the characters pretty blank, so it's like easy to basically fantasize about being in that position. So it's like that type of, you know, and then it can stay pretty light on the actual like characteristics and personality. But I thought it was decent, pretty good entertainment, and of course, because it's streaming on Apple TV Plus, it looks pretty crisp, and I mean, it's all you want. It's better than whatever Netflix slop puts out for their action. This is like easily on another level. Netflix wishes they could do something this good.
Even if it's not the most like thought-provoking, like Foundation on Apple TV is pretty crazy when it comes to like visuals and themes and stuff, but I would never say that Foundation was fun. And I haven't seen Silo. I know that that's pretty popular on Apple TV. There's a lot of TV stuff on Apple TV, and just like stuff on Apple TV that I haven't seen, like Severance. I haven't seen that yet. Even though maybe I should catch up on it now, if you know what I'm saying, Ewan. But like the Gorge was just and even when I was like, oh wow, you know, it's not that thought provoking, I never thought that. I just thought, yeah, this is a lot of fun. This is a good movie.
I mean, looking at what's coming out this week, we got the 3 releases that we talked about today, with one from Disney, one from Amazon, and one from Apple. I think this is by far the easiest sell when you are talking about quality. Obviously, the Disney stuff is way bigger, but I would say stay away from that. And then if you vibe with the Broken Rage, then that might be like it was for me, like the best of the 3 that we talked about today. But this is clearly the easier sell with like 2 stars, and you also got like Sigourney Weaver as like supporting for about a couple minutes in there. And yeah, it's pretty good. I gave it a 6.5 out of 5. I couldn't decide between a 7 or a 6 out of 10.
Even though I praised it, I gave it 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 out of 5 for you. So it's pretty good rating still. Again, I think it's lacking the one bit where you can be like super passionate about it, but it's not big flaws for. I think a movie, you should meet it on the same level of, okay, what does it set out to do, and is it doing that successfully? Maybe you know what it sets out to do is a bit lackluster, so it can only get to like a certain level for you when you appraise it, when you talk about it critically. But I think this kind of delivers on what it sets out to do, so pretty solid, decent entertainment. you already said your double feature pick is Annihilation.
Annihilation.
Right? Yes. Yep. That's it. Yep. Annihilation.
That's it.
Pairs
That's
up
all
perfectly. This is literally.
I don't have to give you a reason.
Kind of perfect.
That's just my double feature pick. Fucking watch it afterwards.
Yeah, if you don't know the reason, then you clearly haven't seen Annihilation. So, but I either went because Oppenheimer is brought up. It's just, I guess, go rewatch Oppenheimer. But then I also thought The Happening, because it's the plants. It was the plants. The plants. They combined with the plants. It was, I maybe don't watch that. That's just conceptually a pairing. And then Kevin also wanted me to bring up Love and Monsters, that young adult feel that he thought is kind of vibing with it. But that's it for our triple feature of the week. If you want to support us, then consider subscribing, leaving a like, a follow on Spotify and Apple, leaving a rating there. There's so much that you can do. You can become a member and get these videos and podcast episodes a bit earlier. You can join our Discord. There's so much to discover in the deep gorge of our YouTube description. But let's get to what we've been watching. All right, Lachlan. I know for you it's been a bit of a playing golf and fuck all week. Am I right with that, or did you get up to anything?
Yep.
Yeah. No movies. No. Okay.
Nada. Zilch.
Well, I'll just let you know what I've been watching. Again, I can very much recommend the following titles. I think White Lotus season 3 is great entertainment. Sets off another really fun series that I can't wait for more people to see it Sundays. And I got to see the first 3 episodes, really solid. I can also recommend One of Them Days, The Witcher: Sirens of the Deep, an animated The Witcher movie that I watched this. I haven't seen the live action series that they're doing or the other animated The Witcher movie. I was watching it. I was like, of course, Lachlan, like everything, I do own it on Steam. I just haven't played it. And it's like, with The Witcher 4 announced and this, I'm like, dude, I'm so keen to maybe dive a bit more into this universe. And Silence of the Deep was pretty solid entertainment. Hard Eyes, basically a Valentine's Day slasher movie. Can also recommend that one. Hard Truths, the Mike Lee film, is now out on VOD as well. The ones that I would say definitely skip is You're Cordially Invited. That's like the Reese Witherspoon, Will Ferrell comedy. Doesn't really land. Love Hurts with Ke-Huy Quan, unfortunately, also doesn't really work. It's a bit all over the place. Doesn't really come together tonally. It's not very funny. The action is the best part about it, definitely. But that's pretty much it. And then the worst one was Amy Schumer's Kind of Pregnant. That was horrible, man. It was really bad. But that's all the stuff that I've been watching. Like on for news, we do have a bit of a change that we want to do, because Movie News Mondays, I do the live stream, give you a bit of an overview of what's coming out, all the news stories, basically all in one place. But there's one story that has been developing that I wanted to talk about, which is this movie that we, I think, chatted about last week, Neza 2, which I'm probably saying it wrong, but that movie has grossed $1.37 billion in China alone, which sets a new record for a single market gross ever. This movie has come out of nowhere. I haven't even heard of it. Obviously we both haven't heard of the first one, right? It's currently like at number 3 for highest grossing animated films. Inside Out 2 is sitting at 1.7 billion, and this one is projected to maybe do 2.2 billion, so it could very much gross up to like number 5 spot, only being behind like the 2 Avatar films, Avengers Endgame and Titanic. Where did this movie come from? This is so crazy. And it is coming out in the States in limited release, and I believe in the UK and in Australia this week. So maybe for next week I can send you to go see this movie, because what the fuck is happening? Like the craze for Neza 2 is crazy.
Are you telling me I have to go see this movie?
You don't have to, but if this intrigues you, maybe, and I'll try and maybe hopefully I can get a copy of it somewhere as well, if there's like, because I assume they're looking for like a more international release for this as well. Maybe I can get my hands on it. I'm just curious to, obviously, the other huge film that came out of China that was called Hi Mom, I think 1 or 2 years ago, was, in my opinion, pretty horrible. So this doesn't need to be a good movie. I'm just wondering, is this crazy that it's only out for 2 weeks now, and it has done over $1 billion just in China alone. That is pretty amazing.
Okay, well,
it won't be our double feature. Next week we are going to talk about the monkey and not about Neza 2, no matter how much it grosses. But you got any news stories for me that you want to talk about?
I guess the only two that I've currently got is Wes Anderson's next film is set for a May 2025 release date, and the trailer for Friendship looked absolutely fantastic. I am keen for this fucking movie from A24, Friendship, the one with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson.
Have you seen I Think You Should Leave?
Like, I love Tim Robinson's humor. Tim Robinson makes is really me funny. Fucking cry. So super keen for this.
Yeah, me too. This premiered I think at TIFF, and I got some great buzz from people who I know who have seen it. And with the Phoenician Scheme set for May 2025, maybe it's a gun release. You know, if it's late May, I don't know when in May it's set the release date for. Also, Luca Guadagnino's new film sets After the Hunt with Julia Roberts, Andrew Garfield, and Ayo Edebiri. October 17th is the release date there, so maybe it's not a challenges type situation that, you know, that one got pushed to the next year, but maybe it's another one that premieres at Venice or at TIFF or at those fall festivals. Looking forward to it. But that's it. Then also a bit of a revamp. Let us know if you like this or not. We're gonna include a bit more of the like new releases and some highlights from Australia, Switzerland, whatever in the live stream as well. But instead of just rambling through everything that comes out, I did make basically a selection of films that I do want to shout out, like some new releases or some fun things to go check out in theaters. My picks for Switzerland, there's the Irish film Kneecap that's coming out finally here. They have some sick posters alongside it as well, and hopefully it does well here. New season of White Lotus is streaming on Sky or on Max on Sundays. The Brutalist is out on VOD on February 18th, and then Things Will Be Different is out on Hulu on February 21st. It's one that we reviewed, Kevin and I, and he loved it. It was one of the like core things about like his montage. It was the opening. Very much underrated film. That should be, for those who have Hulu, pretty easy to see. And
coming out in Australia this week, we've got The Monkey. Super keen for that.
Well, worldwide.
And obviously, I guess Neza 2 is also coming out, so look out for that one if you just would rather animation. But The Monkey's coming out this week, and that's going to be our conversation pick for next week as well.
Definitely. There's lots to talk about. I literally have in another tab the short story from Stephen King open, because I definitely want to read it. Some people who were at the press screening with me for The Monkey have said that some parts of it is like stays really close to that short story. So I'm keen. There's going to be a lot to talk about, and I can't wait for you to see it, because you were a huge fan of Longlegs from the same director, Osgood Perkins. Last year was a favorite film of the last year. So hopefully this one delivers as well, and we'll check back with you next week. So in the meantime, let us know which of the 3 movies that we reviewed today that you are most likely to see, or which one that you've already seen was your favorite, and we will see you next week.
Bye.